We are in chapter number 12, closing the sale. This is the most fortuitous moment for you because you have gone through the entire process of interacting with the customer. Now you will be able to reap the benefits. How can you reap the benefits? By closing the sale, that is by making the customer pay for the product that you are trying to sell, pay for the service that you are trying to sell here as well. And this is where you have to think about negotiations that we already talked about in the last chapter. Negotiations are important while you are handling objections, and you have to think about it while you are closing the sale as well, because there will be some objections to the price, to the terms and conditions and things like that. So you need to think more and more about how are you going to negotiate. Remember that selling is a process, right? It's a 7-step process. Similarly, closing is also a process. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to gradually think about it. But you have to start thinking about it right from the very first moment you start working with your customers. So when you are doing the prospecting and qualifying, you should be thinking, will this person buy? Will this person close on this sale? Will they sign on the dotted line so that I can make a move? Something like that. Okay, so you should think about closing throughout the sales process. And even when you are in stage 4 presentation, if there are no objections, you can jump all the way from 4 to step number 6, that is closing the sale. So remember that. And here I have given a few videos for you to watch, and they are all mostly movie clips. Would you like to, if you would like, go and watch this particular Erin Brockovich movie? Would you negotiate like that Erin Brockovich? That's the question. And if you watch this 2-minute 21-second video clip, you will see that she is very authoritative, and she is able to negotiate like that because she has the power. She has the case on her side. Now, I wouldn't encourage you to kind of be that hard-nosed, but it's always nice for you to think about how you are going to approach a sales situation. Are you going to be standing on your ground and push the other person to the ground? Probably not a good idea. Or you are trying to come to a negotiated win where you both compromise, or you both are able to find a win-win situation where you are able to do something very different than what you thought, and the customer is also doing something very different from what they thought. That way you will be able to make a lot more money and lot more wins for each other. Now, one important thing, a quick no is better than prolonged no, because you don't want to waste too much of your time spending with the customer and ultimately they say no. And for that, I would strongly encourage you to watch this particular video clip. Can you ask an yes or no question? Now, throughout the sales process, you never asked an yes or no questions. You asked only open-ended questions. What do you think about it? Who are your customers, or what is the type of product that you produce in your facility? This is the type of conversation you had. You did not ask an yes or no question during any of these earlier steps, okay, while you are doing the approach and the presentation and things like that. But at the time of close, you do have to ask an yes or no question. Will you buy? How many units will you buy? You have to make those things very clear. Otherwise, it will keep prolonging. And the presentation phase keep on going and you would never be able to close. Okay. And this is one of the most important things. And that is where this particular video, 3 minutes and 42 seconds long, is very good. It kind of emphasizes the importance of asking an yes or no question, that you will deal with it even if there is a no. Okay, so that is something that for you to think about. So let me just briefly click on it so that you can see who that person is and how he argues about asking an yes or no question at the time of closing the sale.
Guarantee they said some stuff like this. If you did sell them, well, let's go ahead with it. Oh, when will it be delivered? Or when can we take possession? Does it come in other colors that I could select? Or is there more charge for option A than there is for option B? What do we do next? Do we have to sign anything? Is there a contract? Is there a credit application? Are you going to need a deposit? And on the litany goes of the language that people will use when they're going to buy from you. Oh, by the way, I forgot this one, or at least I saved it for last. One looks at the other when there's more than one party as a prospect or customer and says, what do you think? Now, whenever the prospects are reacting to us like that, we know we're going to get the order. Now, what do they say when you're not going to get the order? Oh, they say stuff like, well, we want to think about it. We'll let you know. We'll get back to you. Leave us your card and we'll call you. By the way, if we call and you're not there, do you get credit for this? We want to get some other prices, or your price is too high, or we want to shop our bids, or we're not quite sure of you, or we never make a decision this rapidly, or I have to run it past my boss, or we're over budget right now, or we are so satisfied with our regular source of supply that we would not make the change. Now, all of this is the language that you've heard over and over again. And by the way, there is one I haven't dropped in yet because you'll hear it over and over again. Say, Dave, we're not going to buy right now, but you're one heck of a salesperson. Why is it that in the litany of language that we hear, we don't hear these words? Why don't we hear those words? Why don't we hear the word yes or no? For the simple reason, salespeople have been taught never to ask a question which can be answered with a yes or no. And because we are taught never to ask a question that can be answered with a yes or no, we put ourselves in a position where we're not asking for the order. I am going to ask you to write these two words down. I'm going to suggest to you that we're going to deal with a format that requires you to ask for the yes or no, and that it's a lot simpler than you think. And even though you've been taught over and over again to never ask a question which can be answered with a yes or no, I am going to reassure you that by asking a question which can be answered with a yes or no, you have a better chance of getting the order. I mean, suppose I were to say to you, at the conclusion of a presentation like this, I normally get three kinds of responses. That's when the people say, gee, I like that. Let's go along with it. Or they give me another response and say, no, this is not for us. And I realize we can't be for everyone. But Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, may I suggest that many people say, I want to think about it, I'll let you know, we'll get back to you. And the reason they do that, they don't want to hurt my feelings. Now, if you like our idea, say yes. If it's not for you, don't hesitate to say no. Now, watch my face. Because I will accept a no as gracefully as I will accept a yes. We're going to deal with that, the psychology of closing, getting people to respond this way, and then what is the absolute zip flat out worst you could hear? The word no, and I will deal with. How to deal with that to take you closer to your sale.
Okay, so that's the major thing. As you can see in this particular comment that is given at the top, I will accept a no as gracefully as I will accept a yes. Genius, and I am stealing it. And that's the point. You have to get to this yes or no question. Throughout the process, you should be asking yourself whether they will close, and especially at the time of closing the sale, after making all the presentations, after answering all the objections, you seriously have to think about asking this yes or no question. Okay, that's why I like that video very much. I will see you in the next video clip to talk more about when to close so that we can move forward with our sales process.